Pranam, sir. Uh,
Yes.
so it's a privilege to interview you. Thank you for doing this. And you're an retired army officer, a social activist, a philanthropist, and an inspiration to so many people. And I remember messaging you 4 years ago, telling you how you remind me of my grandfather. And even though we were strangers to each other, and you still blessed me, and that was very kind and humble of you. Thank you so much, sir.
Oh, it's my pleasure. It's my pleasure. It's always nice to get in touch with nice and good people. And if you call me grandfather, naturally I would be a lot more impressed with you than anybody else. So it
Uh,
was your gesture on your part that telling me so, which was really appreciable.
yes. Sir, I would love to call you Dadaji.
Yes, yes, please do so.
Yes, sir.
Most welcome. You know,
Thank
in
you.
the in my school,
Yes, sir.
all the teachers, all the staff members from principal downwards, everybody calls me Bapuji. Yes.
And the students,
So, but
even the students call you the same.
yes, yes, the students also call me the same. They all in the school. I'm known as Bapuji by everybody.
That's
But
really sweet.
it's give a good feeling.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Dadaji.
Yes.
Uh, so let's talk about your days in army. Do you miss it?
Well, yes, at times we do miss the army days uh, because the army has made me a man out of a small a student in my young days. So this total transformation in my life, I would call, is the gift and the training which I got in the army. And our bonds in the army are so very strong because we joined army, especially the National Defense Academy,
Yes,
at the age of around 15 to 16 years.
yes,
So when you join so early in life and you start with your training and a new profession and career, that bonding is extremely strong. And even as on today with my course mates, my batchmates from National Defense Academy, or from or from uh, Indian Military Academy, Dehradun, it's a very strong bonding. So
yes, sir.
those days and incidents we never forget. And these days, these groups are very popular on the WhatsApp. So we keep on sharing our old things of the training days, which reminds us of the wonderful times we had there.
Yes, sir.
So army days are always beautiful, and we always cherish them to our end.
Do you miss getting that adrenaline rush that you used to get in army?
Well, no, now it's been so long that since I retired from the army, I took premature retirement in the year 1992. So it's been about now long, long many years, about 25 years. So now you don't miss. Now actually you get so involved with your present work, with your present problems, daily life, and of your institutions which you manage, that this gives you is on my priority and not anything else.
That's true. So, my question is, why do you think what makes forces special as a career compared to other professions?
Well, we always say that the armed forces uh, makes a man out of nothing, and with the other professions, they also do so, but in a totally different fashion, because the values of life and the ethos which are inculcated in the armed forces are not done so in the others.
Yes, sir.
Our bringing up and our training is such that our complete thought process and our, I would say that we are inoculated with the army way of life, which we can never forget. So that lasting profession which we get in the army is what is totally different from the other professions. So that is what the difference is in the army. And secondly, in the army, they always teach us to be punctual and to be a perfectionist, because in war, total perfection is required. There are no ifs and buts when we go to war. So that is what is the charm of being in the army.
So, sir, do you think like the values you learned during your training and during the job, you still carrying it like after years also?
Yes, they become part of your life actually. Whatever we learn in the army, you never lose it. You never lose it. It carries on with you throughout your life, because they are ingrained in your mind, in your brain, in your system. They are all ingrained.
Yes.
So you never lose those qualities of life.
Sir, also, sir, you need to while you're in the war or during training, also you need to be very clear of what you want exactly. So, do you think decision making is something which these generation their mind flicker a lot, and then they it's very hard for them to choose and stick to one thing. So, how did you inculcate that habit, and what and any advice for people like how they should also stick to their decision and make the decision, because it's very hard these days.
Well, in the army, firstly, when we go for our selection interview to the services selection board, our selection system is such that the psychologist and the interviewing officers, they want to see the background of your thinking, your thought process.
Yeah.
And that thought process starts right from that early stage. And later on, when we get selected and we join the army, we are put through so many brainstorming sessions, through so many exercises, through so many evaluations, where decision making is an important part.
Yes.
And it is always taught that the decision has to be made in a split second, because
Okay.
you can't wait in a war, and it's a split second decision, and the decision has to be correct to win the war. So that is what is the best part, that we are trained to be that, and
Yes.
that taking decisions by an army officer is always a split second decision, and it doesn't take long.
And sir, do you still carry that? Like even now, when you have to make decision, you're just like in seconds you take the decision and then you stick to it.
Yes, absolutely. Same thing, same decision making. Intuition carries on with me now also. And in fact, so many of my colleagues, they get surprised at the that I take a split second decision, and after that I try and stick to it.
Yeah, sir. Sir, and sir, why did you choose army and not air force or navy? Any special reason?
Well, my my father tells me that when I was a young boy,
Yes, sir.
my father had a friend who was known as Captain Saab.
Okay.
So, yeah, so uh, whenever that friend of my dad used to come home, he used to always call me, "You must become a Captain Saab." So I think somewhere in my mind, this thing got ingrained, and I became a Captain Saab in the army.
That must be, sir, a really proud moment for everyone.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Sir, people who want to get into NDA, sir, could you tell us what officers actually look for in the potential candidates during the SSB?
Well, the first thing is a split second decision, as you say. The second is your psychology. Your psychologically, you have to be motivated in one direction and not in the wrong direction. And thirdly, it's the physical fitness, which is also a part of your selection, and you have to be physically and medically fit. So that is how the selections are done.
Yes, sir. And sir, so when you said psychologically like good motivation, could you please elaborate?
Motivation is a very, I think, a very deep-rooted subject, and motivation is such that in the army, as officers, we have to be motivated first of all ourselves, and then we should be able to motivate the troops whom we command,
Hmm.
which is the biggest challenge in the army, because without motivation we cannot go to war, we cannot face the enemy, and we cannot take a bullet in our chest if we are not motivated. So motivation is a very important part of our training, and later on in life when we have our promotion examinations and our series of lectures and things like that, motivation is very important, and a lot of study has to be done by the army officers on motivation part.
Yes, sir. Sir, also, sir, do you feel that like how like civilians, or sometimes we say that okay, I'm not feeling good today, I'm not having a good day. So and you people, army men, I don't think you can afford to have a bad day. So what do you do when you're not feeling good today or any day and you have to work?
Well, yes, in case we have any important task to do, to perform and to execute, even if you are not feeling well and your mood is not good and you are feeling lazy and lousy, you still have, you know that you still have to give the results, and you accordingly energize your body to produce the results.
Yes,
So
sir.
the body automatically then gets activated and gives you the best results.
True. Sir, and what do you think, according to you, there should be changes which we need to bring in the armed force system to strengthen it even more?
Well, I think this subject is something very vast. This is for the top brass of the Indian Army to keep on thinking about the changes to be brought in the system, and probably I may not be capable to comment on all this about the changes to be brought, because in the modern warfare things have to be seen from a different perspective than what when I was in the army, and that modern warfare concept was not there. So these days with the modern wars coming, the your quality of education has to be better. You
Hmm.
have to be more aware of your surrounding, and you have to be more computer savvy and technically more up to date than what when we were. And all these things, it's a step by step thing, which in the army or in the armed forces or courses of instructions which are there, they get the syllabus is changed according to the changing times. So
Okay.
that is how our training also changes when we do our courses of instruction and all. There's a sea change now in the syllabus of what we did and what it is being done by the officers now. So it's a gradual process which keeps on taking place all throughout.
But sir, could you please elaborate in the differences that you see in the warfare back then and now?
Well, now it's very technical, the warfare. It's very mechanical. Also, during our time, the warfare was limited to the physical fitness,
Hmm.
which was more important. But now, decision making and your reactions to a situation are more important. And also, the warfare has become so very technical because through the modern electronic media, through the satellites and all, you have much more information about the enemy than what we could get the information about the enemy at our stage at that time. So there's a lot of difference. There are new gadgets for training which has come. There are new gadgets available. The night firing devices are there. The GPS system is there to guide you with so many things. So there's a 100% change in that atmosphere of what we went through and what it is now.
True. And also, so you mentioned that we need like a change of syllabus like every generation. So it's happening, right?
Yes, it's a continuous change.
Okay,
It's
so
a
it keeps
continuous.
happening.
Yes, yes, it keeps on happening. It keeps you abreast with the latest changes, and also the army studies the lifestyle and the training pattern of the modern day armies all over the world, and
Hmm.
whatever changes are being brought in the world, the same gradually are being now adopted by us also.
Yes, sir. Sir, our army people also taught diplomacy. Diplomacy. Is it really needed?
Well, no, basically it is our own thought process which makes you a diplomat. Otherwise, in the army, the training is not there for to be a diplomat.
Yeah,
It is only to be a decision maker and not to be a diplomat.
true. Sir, sir, my next question is not just as an army personnel, but also as an Indian citizen. What according to you could be the solution to the Indo-China tension?
Well, it's a very there is no solution to it for the timing. You have seen how the Galwan Valley incidents have taken place, and the Chinese army is refusing to go back to its original positions and things like that. I don't think I'm at that stage to comment on the outcome and how to solve the Chinese riddle.
But according to you, in hypothetical, sir, answer situation and answer, sir, if you could give your solution, your perspective.
No, there's no solution which can be given like this. It would be wrong on my part to give a solution like that, because these things are at a very higher level, and we can only speculate and nothing more than that.
So, but some, you know, how so some people just are some citizens are just like we should go to war, we should go to war. So, when do you think that the bilateral talks just stop working, and that we actually have to go to war? Like, when do you decide? What should be the magnitude of the situation?
Well, firstly, I think war is not a choice in the modern day world. In the modern day world, it is the diplomacy and the negotiations which matter more. And after the 1962 war,
Yes.
it's been so many years now. There's been no war with China, although some skirmishes keep on taking place at the line of control of the international border. But it is only the negotiations which are going to solve this riddle, because by going to war, you cannot solve this problem because the area is so vast. It's about 4,500 kilometers long. So going to war over such an area is not a possibility. So negotiations is the only chance. And sticking to your place where you are now and not letting them intrude further, that is what the government of India is doing, the army is doing, and we all are prepared for that.
Yes, sir. Sir, and sir, even in the previous government, like our India's policy was ki we'll only retaliate, we would never attack first. And but now we are noticing the changes that we are following the tit for tat thing. So what is your opinion on that?
Well, yes, I think generally in the public mind, that perception is there that previously India was in a defensive mode, and we were told that we have to be in the defensive mode and not in the offensive mode. But now the things are changing, And I think the instructions are that the Indian Army can be in the offensive mood also, although these things are not disclosed or not known publicly to anybody, because these are matter of great secrecy and everything. But the general perception is this.
Okay. And sir, uh, sir, and there's this one very common question which everyone keeps asking, that why can't India and Pakistan coexist?
Well, this question also has got no inbuilt answers, and basically I would say that the Pakistan theology of and their ideology is such that peaceful coexistence is not possible due to the nature of the terrorist and extremist activities which are carrying on there.
Hmm.
At what time Pakistan is able to rein in those terrorists and all things like that. So it is not possible, and also the Kashmir problem, which has been lingering, and recently Pakistan has included Kashmir in the map of Pakistan. So there is no way any peace can be found in the near future.
So you think even bilateral talks won't work with Pakistan?
No, it won't work, because Kashmir is such an issue which has got no end to it. And
Sir,
we are glad that now Kashmir is part of amalgamated into the Indian Constitution and things like that.
yeah.
So that is take many years to change the situation and everything.
Yes, sir. And sir, do you so when you're on line of control or when you're on ground, so do you get to talk to the neighboring countries' army personnel as well? And what is the relationship like? And what is the situation like?
Well, as we say that at the ground zero level, when we are in a eyeball to eyeball situation with our adversaries, there are two types of relationships.
Yes.
One is that the eyeball to eyeball situation. One is that we are firstly very scared of each other's intentions,
Hmm.
and the intentions are not clear, then there is no question of any interaction with your adversary. But during especially this is applicable in the peasant state. And in the peasant state, when there is so much of hype being created about
Hmm.
the war and about the state of things in both the countries, it does not exist. But in the good olden days, when we were on the line of control in Jammu, Kashmir, and things like that, we used to sit down and chat across with our adversaries, with the company commanders across, and have talk and exchange gifts also at times. So
Yes.
it is, but those days were totally different.
Hmm.
That time there was no militancy in Kashmir. It was totally peaceful. This Kashmir problem was not there.
Hmm.
This is a this is a recent phenomena which is there. So now there's a different perception, and during our time it was a different perception.
Sir, but even though when you guys used to go and like talk and exchange gifts, but you still had it subconsciously. You must have this thought that like they are our enemies, so you can't really create good friendship. Or were you allowed?
No, no, no. It is not loud. It is not loud. It is all illegal,
Okay.
and it is all only done behind the scenes.
Okay.
But I also, after retirement, I have been to Pakistan three times,
Okay.
and we have very strong family relations with some of our Pakistani friends. And let me tell you that when we go to Pakistan like that,
Okay.
we don't find any difference between India and Pakistan.
Oh.
We love each other, we hug each other, and we talk of the old times, sit together, and the old generation, they all in Pakistan also they think as to why this partition had to take place, that we were far better at that time. So things at the ground level and the public perception is totally different even
Yeah.
as on today. But when it comes to politics and when it comes to national priorities, then the things change.
Change. Yeah. Because people are also like, as normal person who hasn't been to Pakistan or doesn't know this, people are scared to go to Pakistan. They're like, is it safe to go there? Oh my god. So it's completely normal there when you go there and visit.
No, no, not at all. No, not at all. Absolutely not. Nothing is. It's not there. It is only the hype which is created by the politician on the both sides. That if you go over there, you will be shot dead or think you will be kidnapped. Nothing like that. In fact, you are greeted, and people specifically come and approach you to so that we can go to their house, we can greet them, and things like that. It's a totally different situation when we meet each other.
So that's really nice to hear. So a different perspective.
Yes, absolutely.
Sir, so what, according to you, can the measure or steps that India can take to become a superpower?
Well, India is already a superpower. I think.
So,
I think there are no. I think by all means we are a superpower, and we already claim ourselves to be in the top five uh, superpowers of the world. So nothing more needs to be done. I think India is moving in that direction in a very nice manner.
so sir, everything is going as it should be.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. At the international level, especially the UNO and all,
Yes,
although India has been striving for a seat in the Security Council for the last so many years,
yes, sir.
and so many countries have endorsed it, except for one odd country who are a permanent member of the United Nations. I think everything is moving towards that direction.
I think we were observer country, you know.
Pardon?
I think we were observer country.
Um, Not observer. That is, they had various types of committees and various types of organizations are there in which the status keeps on changing.
Yeah.
At times as an observer, at times as a participant.
Hmm.
Like India is now the president of the United Nations Security Council.
Okay. I
Yeah,
see.
because it's in rotation, so it keeps on changing.
Hmm. Sir, sir, I had posted about our interview, and then a lot of people had sent in questions also, which they wanted me to ask you. Uh, sir, one of the questions is, sir, when we will see women officers in combat roles?
It's already there.
So
Women
officers,
officers.
the soldiers are in paramilitary, I think. But
Uh, well, in the officers cadre, the women have now come into into most of the cadres, and they are enjoying the same privileges, and they'll have to face the same music as the male officers do.
uh, so sir, it has already started. That women are given now the equal roles as compared to the men officers.
Already, yes, already so many of the regiments of the Indian Army have been thrown open, including in the Air Force and in the Navy.
Hmm.
And the women are getting now the short service commission officers in the women cadre. They're all now been given the option to give their option to be a permanent commissioned officers. So
Okay.
things have totally changed now. Yeah.
And sir, so do you think that the armed forces are given enough credits and are respected enough in our country?
Well, that's a very a good question. Well, I don't think the armed forces are given that respect in the Indian context as much as it is done in most of the foreign countries.
Hmm.
There's a different protocol which is followed whenever the army personnel are concerned. But in the Indian context, I would say that like you take the order of precedence
Hmm.
of which is issued by the government of India at various stages and various times. And that there has been a gradual downgrading of the status of the army personnel. There's been downgraded to quite a low level, which has created a lot of ambiguity and a lot of unhappiness in the minds of the army personnel. And the status which they enjoyed earlier on, the precedence which was there earlier on, I think the government is purposely trying to bring down the precedence, because often there is a question which comes up that what happens if the army becomes or the defense forces become too strong and things like that.
Hmm.
And so I think there are so many reasons, but in India, this is very much true that the army is losing its charm and it's losing its way of life, and the order of precedence. We are much more down now what it used to be.
So do you think the government could be afraid that what if the army starts ruling the country?
Please repeat your question.
So do you think that the government could be scared that the army could start ruling the country, like how it was back in
No,
Pakistan?
no, no. This is a very hypothetical question which people raise, but it is not just not possible in the Indian context,
Okay.
because in the in Indian context, the the chain of command the chain of command is such that it can never happen.
Yes, sir.
It's only a dream and nothing else. It's an illusionary concept what we Indians feel.
Yeah, sir. True. Sir, also, sir, so, sir, when you are about to shoot someone, what goes into your mind? Because as a normal person, as a civilian, if someone asks and if I'm in danger and if I have to shoot someone, I still would feel very reluctant to do that. So, how do you feel? What is the psychology you go through?
Well, I think it's a training which is there behind our mind, and also in the units or the battalion in which we are commanding or where we are posted, the izzat and man and the honor of that unit is more important than your life.
Yeah.
That is what is ingrained into us. Okay, you can lose your life, but not your honor, and you will never let down the regiment in which you are serving. So it is simply that thing and the training which we are given, which leads you to that.
Yes. So, but do you think a lot of people have, like, the number of people joining the army has reduced over the years?
It has drastically reduced. In fact, during our time, the the cadre which was used to come to the army was of a totally different from a different societal pattern, and now it is totally 100% change. And now I would say that in the army only the leftovers from other professions come, and
Hmm.
it's not the cream which comes to the defense forces.
So, could you please elaborate on that?
Well, I would say that in the defense forces, people first of all opt for other careers, and those who are not selected in the other careers, they opt as the last choice to be in the defense forces.
Okay. Because people, I mean, the hype for NDA is still there because people I have seen, like a lot of my friends, they are like very passionate about joining NDA and they give a lot of tries also, but somehow they also end up, if they don't get selected, they lose hope, and that I have seen.
In the good old days, family tradition was that there should be one son in the army. Like
Okay.
especially in Punjab, this was the tradition that there should be one son in the army always. But these days, it's very rare to find Punjabi in the army. So that is the sea change which has come in it. Now it's as I said earlier that it's the last choice of the young generation to join the armed forces.
Do you think is it because they have stopped caring more about the country, or have they become more selfish? Why do you think it's happening?
No, it's because in the outside you have a better way of living.
Hmm.
You have your own choice. You have your own mind, and the financial packages are very high as compared to the army. Plus the tough life which is there for the army, it is keeping the young generation away from it.
Yeah, agree. Sir, and in today's time, how do you think how important it is to be politically correct?
Well, in the army, I don't think politics plays any major role. We are a political army, and we have no choices as far as our politics are concerned. And playing politics in the army or anything connected with the politics is totally banned also in the in the defense forces. So we are totally political. You may be having your own preferences and all, but nothing to with your army way of life.
So have you ever faced any situation where you knew ki, okay, this is not how it's supposed to go, but you have to accept it because the orders are coming from above?
No, getting the orders is a different thing.
Okay.
Getting the orders, we are meant to obey the orders. But saying that any politicians interfere with your way of life, with your work, uh, that is not there. Army is totally apolitical and it has got a different channel of command. The politicians have no role to play in this.
Yes, sir. And sir, in apart from the army, in general in life, do you think it's good to be politically correct, or you should stick to what you believe in?
Well, yes, you should be politically aware, I would say. Being correct or wrong is not the point, but one should be politically aware of the goings on, and accordingly we should act.
Yes. Sir, and sir, since we discussed how the number of people joining army has reduced, so what could be done to instill the feeling again in them?
Well, basically, it is that more publicity needs to be done about the perks and about the pay and allowances which the army gets, and also the that if in case you die in war or you are injured or anything happens to your physical self, then what are the things which the government is going to help you out?
Yes,
Well,
sir.
it is all a question of financial stringency, which is there, which plays in the mind. You give a heavy packet, you'll see the trend changing. A lot of people will come and join the army.
Yes. So true, sir. Like people should be aware, and the pay grade should be increased.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yes.
Sir, also you took an early retirement to work on NGOs. So sir, we would like to talk about that. So what made you, sir, to like reach that decision?
Well, my father was a very well-known philanthropist of Patiala, and I would say that he devoted most of his life to philanthropy and to creating many institutions in Patiala.
Yes, sir.
And when he was getting old, so he told me that he's getting old and now he needs somebody to come and help him out in his philanthropy and his various social activities which he's carrying on with. And it was a very difficult choice for me and my wife to make because I had a budding career in the army.
Yes, sir.
in front of me, and also my father's choice. But ultimately, the decision was made, and I quit the army, took premature retirement in the army, and came and joined my father. And I think this has been the best decision of my life ever. And I feel so proud of this decision which I took to come and start working in Patiala with him, which has now totally changed my life pattern also.
So, but when you were going through that transition, were you annoyed or did you regret?
Yes, it was regret also. It was regret also, like from from an employed person, I suddenly become an unemployed person.
Hmm.
So that has a lot of bearing on your values and everything. But with the passage of time, I think things have moved in the right and positive direction.
That's really great to hear, sir. Sir, could you tell us more about your NGO?
Well, there are many NGOs which we are managing, and the foremost is the Society for Welfare of the Handicapped,
Yes.
which was started by my father in 1967.
Oh,
And this society presently deals with four institutions, that is Patiala School for the Deaf, Patiala School for the Blind, Patiala School for the Deaf Blind, and Patiala Early Intervention Center for the Deaf Infants.
okay, sir.
So these four institutions are being run by this society, which is a registered society, and we have a proper management committee of 15 members, and plus very many advisors who we all sit together and work out what is to be done in the society and for the welfare of the students. The best part of this is that this society, right from the time it was started, it does not charge any fees from any student. It is totally free of cost for everybody, and that has been our landmark and hallmark. And in spite of that, we are carrying on a very high scale.
So is it so how hard it is to set up such a huge institution? Because do you completely rely on donation, or is there some other way to generate the economy of the NGO?
Uh, well, I'll just tell you more about the institution first.
Hmm.
That as of today, we have about 450 children,
Yes, sir.
deaf, blind, and deaf blind, the three categories. And these schools are residential, they are co-educational, and they are from pre-nursery to class 12. And
Hmm.
after that, we have some vocational training centers also, where some children are given the vocational training also. So it's a extremely hard job to have the deaf and the blind boys and girls of all age groups together, staying in one under one roof, and staying and working and living together.
Yes, sir.
And not only that, our infrastructure which we have created is one of the best. It is as good as a good reputed. It is as good as a good reputed institution. And our uh, thought behind this creation was that these deaf and blind children who are there, they are also part of the same society, and they are not discarded as it used to be. So
Yes,
we wanted to get them to feel psychologically more secure, and to feel superior, that yes, they also have a institution in which they can get world class education, world class facilities, as compared to the other good public schools or institutions which charge lakhs of rupees as admission, and their fees, etc. So that is what has changed, brought out a very major impact in the social society, amongst the parents also, amongst the public, and also in the students. And
So
as
that
far as your question is concerned about the running on donations, well, till 1917, that is about, I would say, 52 years of existence, it was running only on donations. There was no grant at all from the government. It was in 1917, in 2017 when we started getting the first grant from the government of India. But that grant is also meets only about 25 to 30% of our budget. The remaining is still done on donations and charity.
so that's really great work sir you're doing, and I'm really glad that it's getting the coverage it deserves, sir.
Yeah.
Uh, sir, how did you feel when the Society for Welfare and Handicap received a presidential award? How was it like?
Well, as you say that it's a golden letter day, and it was my privilege to receive this award from the President of India in Rashtrapati Bhavan. It is the single biggest honor which any NGO can hope for, and we are so glad and thankful that at some stage in life, after about 50 years of hard work, that the government of India and everybody realized that we deserve something. But meeting the award was a great honor, and it brought a lot of laurels and a lot of goodwill to our society and work in general.
Yes, sir. Uh, sir, so it was after how many? So in which year? I think 2015 you received it, no?
Yes, yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Sir,
After
sir,
what?
in
After
what?
40, I
Hello.
said after 48 years.
Yes, sir.
After
Sir,
48 years. Yeah.
your father must be really proud to see that.
Yes, absolutely. But he passed away much earlier than that. So he was not there to witness this. Otherwise, he would have gone with me to receive the award.
Yes, sir. So I'm sorry, sir. Uh, Sir, in recent times, in during the times of Corona, and sir, healthcare, we noticed that how healthcare, our India as a country, we failed to tackle COVID as we expected, as we expected. So, what role can an NGO play in the times of COVID in the healthcare sector?
Well, in the healthcare sector, NGOs have been in the forefront of this fight, and NGOs have played a very major role, especially when the initial lockdown and curfew was imposed. Uh, Good NGOs, they all came forward to help the poor people, because suddenly a daily laborer, a rickshawala, or a vegetable seller who had no income to feed his family, they all came forward to in the to give rations, medicines, and extend all types of help which was required at that time. It was a very big humanitarian task, and I would say that the NGOs all over India, they played a very big role in it. And we also in Patiala, our NGOs and all, we all joined together and played a major role by distributing free masks, free medicines, and a lot of rations. The PPE kits were distributed free of cost to so many health workers and things like that, and also giving donations in kind and in cash. So it was a very major work, and it is that is why India has been able to come out of this problem of feeding the poor.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That because there was there were a lot of news that a lot of healthcare sector it's not able to go up to the mark because the government wasn't supporting them as much they should be.
Yeah, they were all the hospitals, especially the government hospitals and all, they were relying on these NGOs for a lot of help. And in the initial stages, things were not that stabilized. The policy was not there. The financial position was very tight. So NGOs have played a very major role in all this.
Yes. So also, sir, there's a very there are set of people who have this perspective about NGOs that they basically have a very bad image of NGOs about how they work and there's no transparency. So how can that be rectified? And because of that, some really genuine NGOs are not able to get the funding they deserve.
Well, what you are saying. This was in the good olden days, but in the last 3 years, the complete funding of the NGOs system has changed.
Okay.
All the NGOs are required to follow a strict decorum. They are required to follow the state of expenditure and finances. They're totally controlled online, and we are told that all your payments are going to be online, and they have to be through check or through bank transfer. And the government of India has launched a special program for this, known as the PFMS system.
Okay.
So this system caters to the accounting systems, and we have to apprise the government of each and every paisa, every rupee which we spend through that means. So these things probably were there in some NGOs in the earlier system, but now there is no cause for worry. There's no reason why NGOs should be doing all this.
Yes, sir. So that's I did not know that.
Yes. Now the things have changed totally.
Yes. So then, how
There's,
content are you right now with whatever you're doing, sir?
oh, I couldn't be better, more contented than what I am today, because I'm totally committed to this field, and I have this society or the deaf and blind schools to look after. Then I have an old age home to look after. I have a leprosy colony in
Leprosy.
Patiala
Yes, sir.
to yes, leprosy colony in Patiala to look after. Then we have a very big presence in the local government hospitals of Patiala, where we have been allotted office by them, where our colleagues go and function from there to give free medicines to the poor people who cannot buy, or to get their operations done and things like that, and extend all the medical help which is required.
Yes,
There's
sir.
another NGO with which I am associated, that is the Patiala Health Foundation.
Yes.
This is a USA-based foundation. The sole aim of this association is to provide money or help to the government hospitals whenever they are in need to purchase some new equipment or medicines or anything like that. So
So,
it keeps me involved in all these activities from morning till night.
so it's just so good to hear all this work you're doing. Sir, and
Yes, it is all part of my life.
what, sir?
I said it's all become part of my life now.
Yes, sir. So
And
what are your futures? Huh?
no, please carry on.
No, no, so I was asking, so what are your future plans?
The future plans are now to sit and relax and to make sure that these institutions they work well and they move on the right lines. And there are two projects which we are working on now in Patiala. There is a mental orphanage in Patiala
Okay.
where the mentally sick people are there, is known as a Pingalwada in our parlance. And we are trying to now raise funds to change the complete system of that Pingalwada or of the mental asylum. We would like to provide that sense of human dignity to those people also who cannot even think or dream of it. So we have spent about 25 lakh rupees to make a modern dining hall for them, a modern kitchen for them. Uh, Basically, the system in that Pingalwada or mental asylum is that they all sit outside on the roadside and there the food is served. Maybe it is hot sun or maybe it's raining or whatever it is. But now we have given them a new kitchen, a new dining hall, where those who are in a position to move out and come to the hall, they all sit like good human beings and they are served their meals over there. So this is a very big change maker. And we are also in the process of changing their accommodation by making it more livable, making new bathrooms and things like that. So they also have a sense of dignity. It's besides the point that they don't have that capability or they don't have that intelligence, the medical reasons to think of those things, but we would like to give them that.
Yes, sir.
And the second project on which I am working is to open a hospice center in Patiala.
Oh,
Yes. So this is the latest, hospice is the latest concept, which is very popular in Europe and all,
yeah,
where where the terminally ill patients who have
yeah.
no place to go, no families want to keep, to make a place for them. So we are working on these two projects, especially for the future.
So, any rough idea in which year they'll be finally open?
Well, as far as the mental asylum is, this thing is concerned, Pingalwada, there the work is already going on. It's we started this work about 4 months back,
Yes.
and the dining hall and the kitchen is ready, and the remaining work is also in progress now. Whereas the hospice center is concerned, it's still in the pending stages, and we are looking for a piece of land first of all to start the construction of the building. So let's hope for the best.
Sir, I wish you all the best for that.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yes, sir. So all this good work you're doing, and when people appreciate it, do you feel overwhelmed or emotional? Like, what? How do you feel?
Well, yeah, that's the best part of I would say, of my attitude, that I get emotionally attached to all these things.
Yes, sir.
And in this field, I think till the time you are emotionally attached, you are emotionally involved, you cannot be a success. So being emotionally attached with all your work and everything is very important. And I'm glad that I'm in that direction.
So in your school, when you go there, do you feel they are like your extended family?
Eh, Masi ji ne report on- Yeah, sorry to interrupt you.
No, no, sir. So I was asking, sir, do you feel like they are your extended family when you go to the school and meet people?
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. You know, this institution runs only on charity and donation. So one day somebody asked my wife as to what charity and donation are you giving. So
Hmm.
her answer was that I have donated my husband to your school. So what more do you want? So I think that is my first love.
Yes, sir.
These school, my children is my first love. And the best part is that I have got the full support of my family and of my children.
Yes, sir.
And they have given me a free rope. I've got no responsibilities as far as the family life is concerned, the family finances or any work is concerned. I'm totally free. And my family fully supports me in all this charity work of mine.
Yeah, so that's very crucial.
Yes, it's very crucial because without that, you cannot be successful in this field.
Yes, sir. Sir, so this is my last question. Yes, sir, since my podcast is called Sab Mo Amaya Hai, which roughly translates to everything is illusion. So, what incident in your life or thought in your life you have come across where you believed in it, but the more you looked, you realized, oh my God, this is an illusion.
Well, no, in my life, what all I have done is all practically based, and it is front of everybody body to see. So there are. It is only that I say that if you have a dream
Yes, sir.
and your intentions are well-meaning and good, then the dream will materialize. Now you
Yes,
can take it as an illusion, and I call it a dream. And when my father started these schools from a very small building, which he gave to the schools,
yes, sir.
and these schools functioned in that building for the first 42 years.
Yes, sir.
And it was my dream and my illusion that these children need a better place to for education. They need a better infrastructure. They need the same facilities as in a good modern public school. And it always reminded me of my school days that if I could go to a good reputed school, why not these children? I think that illusion and that dream, if because our intentions were good, it materialized with the help of God,
Yes.
and that is where we have reached today. And
Sir, but
today today that illusion has turned out to be a reality.
exactly, sir. Sir, I don't think that could be termed as an illusion because you made it possible, sir.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. It was a dream come true.
Yes, sir.
It was that. Yeah.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much for doing this.
No, thank you so much.